The wrench slipped from my greasy fingers as Vanessa's voice carried through the garage door. She was whispering into her phone again, that hushed tone she'd been using for weeks. "Don't worry, he's clueless. The test's next week." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I wiped my hands on the rag, my gut twisting. Vanessa had been acting strange lately, coming home late from the real estate office, taking calls in the bathroom, buying new lingerie she never wore around me. Now, this cryptic conversation about some test. "Jake!" she called out, ending the call abruptly. "Dinner's ready!" I emerged from under the hood of my '68 Mustang, forcing a smile. "Coming, honey." At dinner, I watched her push food around her plate, checking her phone every few minutes. Married 15 years, and I could read her like a book. Something was eating at her. "Everything okay at work?" I asked. "Fine," she snapped, then softened. "Just stressed about the Morrison property, big commission if it sells." Lies came as easily to Vanessa as breathing. Maybe she should have sold real estate on Mars instead. That night, while she showered, I did something I'd never done before. I went through her laundry. In her jacket pocket, I found a second phone, a cheap burner. My hands shook as I scrolled through the messages. "Can't wait to see you again, V. You looked incredible yesterday. Jake's working late tonight. Come over at 8. I love how you taste." Photos. Explicit photos of my wife in someone's apartment. Definitely not our house. The contact name was just E. I memorized the address from a location pin in one of the messages, then put the phone back exactly where I found it. The shower was still running. I sat on our bed, staring at the ceiling, my world crumbling around me. 15 years of marriage, and she was screwing around with some guy named E. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I was going to be smart about this. The next morning, I called in sick to the auto shop and drove to the address from Vanessa's phone. Upscale apartment complex on the north side of town. Sure enough, her Honda was parked in visitor spot B12. I sat in my truck for 2 hours, watching. At 11:30, Vanessa emerged from the building with a tall, well-dressed man in his 40s. Designer suit, perfect hair, the kind of guy who probably used moisturizer. He kissed her goodbye. Not a friendly peck, but a full makeout session right there in the parking lot. I snapped photos with my phone, my jaw clenched so tight it ached. The guy got into a silver BMW with a vanity plate, Ethan 1, so E was Ethan. I followed him to Pinnacle Real Estate, the same office where Vanessa worked. Of course, office affair, how original. That evening, Vanessa came home acting normal, chatting about her day, asking about mine. I played along, but inside I was seething. How long had this been going on? Who else knew? "Oh, by the way," she said casually while loading the dishwasher, "Tara wants to meet for brunch tomorrow. Girl talk, you know how it is." Tara was Vanessa's best friend since college. If anyone knew about the affair, it would be her. The next morning, I installed a small security camera in our living room. Completely legal since it was my house, too. Then, I drove to the cafe where Vanessa was meeting Tara. I parked across the street with a clear view of their table by the window. Through binoculars, I watched Tara lean forward, talking animatedly. Vanessa's face went white as a sheet. She shook her head frantically, then buried her face in her hands. Tara reached across the table, rubbing Vanessa's shoulder. Then I saw Tara mouth the word, "pregnant." My blood ran cold. The test Vanessa had mentioned on the phone. She thought she might be pregnant, and it might not be mine. I drove home and waited. When Vanessa returned, she was quiet and distracted. At dinner, she barely touched her food. "You feeling okay?" I asked innocently. "Just tired," she mumbled. "Maybe you should see a doctor. You've seemed off lately." She shot me a sharp look. "I'm fine, Jake. Just work stress." But I could see the fear in her eyes. She was terrified. Good. Let her sweat. I spent the next week gathering evidence. Photos of Vanessa's car at Ethan's apartment, screenshots of hotel charges on our joint credit card, charges she'd claimed were client dinners. I even found receipts for expensive gifts I'd never seen. The security camera caught her on the phone with Ethan twice, making plans to meet. She was getting sloppy, confident I was too stupid to notice. Friday night was the annual Pinnacle Real Estate Office barbecue. Vanessa had been dreading it all week, making excuses to skip it, but I insisted we go. Come on, honey, I said with my best fake smile. I'd love to meet your coworkers, especially that Ethan guy you mention sometimes. Her face went pale. You don't need to come, Jake. It's just boring work stuff. Nonsense. I want to support your career. The barbecue was held at the boss's house, a sprawling suburban palace with a pool and perfectly manicured lawn. About 30 people were there, all dressed in business casual, sipping wine and making small talk. Vanessa introduced me around, her hand trembling slightly on my arm. When we reached Ethan, I extended my hand with a big grin. So you're Ethan. Vanessa talks about you all the time. He was even more pretentious in person. Perfectly styled hair, expensive cologne, manicured nails. The kind of guy who probably had his car detailed weekly. Nice to meet you, Jake, he said, his handshake weak and sweaty. Vanessa's told me so much about you. All good things, I hope, I replied, holding his gaze until he looked away. As the evening wore on, I worked the crowd, charming everyone with self-deprecating humor about being a simple mechanic married to a successful real estate agent. People laughed, relaxed around me. Vanessa watched nervously from across the patio. Then I made my move. During a lull in conversation, I raised my voice slightly. You know, I'm so proud of Vanessa. She's been working such long hours lately, double shifts, overnight showings, really going above and beyond for her clients. A few people chuckled, but I caught the confused looks. Real estate agents didn't work overnight shifts. Jake, Vanessa warned quietly. What? I'm bragging about my hard-working wife. Tell them about that late showing last Tuesday, honey. The one that kept you out until 2 a.m. The group fell silent. Ethan's face flushed red. Vanessa looked like she wanted to disappear. I think you're confused about my schedule, she said through gritted teeth. Am I? My mistake. Must be thinking of someone else's wife. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. People started drifting away, sensing drama brewing. Within minutes, Vanessa grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the parking lot. What the hell was that? She hissed once we were alone. Just making conversation, sweetheart. Why are you so upset? You embarrassed me in front of my colleagues. Did I? How? She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. She couldn't explain why my comments were embarrassing without admitting to the affair. Get in the car, she finally said. We're leaving. The drive home was silent, but I was smiling inside. Round one to me. Monday morning, I took another sick day and drove to my lawyer's office. Tom Bradley had handled our house purchase and wills, a straight shooter who didn't ask unnecessary questions. I need to protect myself financially, I told him, sliding a folder across his desk. My wife is having an affair, and I think she might be pregnant with the other man's child. Tom flipped through the photos and evidence I'd collected. His eyebrows rose higher with each page. This is pretty damning stuff, Jake. You want to file for divorce? Not yet. First, I want to cut her off from our joint accounts and credit cards. Can I do that legally? It's your money, too. I can have the paperwork ready by tomorrow. And I want a DNA test ordered as soon as possible if she is pregnant. That might be trickier until after the birth, but we can explore options. Tuesday morning, I implemented Phase 1. I transferred most of our joint savings into my personal account and canceled the credit cards. Then I waited. Vanessa discovered it around noon when her card was declined at lunch. She called me screaming. What did you do to our accounts? Protecting our assets, honey. There's been some suspicious activity on the cards, probably identity theft. Fix it now. I'll look into it. But I didn't fix anything. By evening, she was furious and panicked. Without access to money, she couldn't maintain her lifestyle or continue her affair the way she was used to. Wednesday, I made an anonymous call to Vanessa's boss. I thought you should know that one of your agents, Vanessa Thompson, has been using company resources for personal affairs. She's been meeting clients at hotels for non-business purposes. I didn't give details, just planted the seed of suspicion. Thursday evening, Vanessa came home in tears. She'd been temporarily suspended pending an investigation into her conduct. They think I'm sleeping with clients, she sobbed. Someone called in a complaint. That's terrible, honey. Who would do such a thing? She looked at me with sudden suspicion. You've been acting strange lately, Jake, ever since the barbecue. I'm just worried about you. You've seemed stressed. I need to stay at Tara's for a few days. Clear my head. Of course, whatever you need. But I wasn't done yet. Not by a long shot. I followed Vanessa to Tara's apartment Friday night, parking down the street with a clear view of the building. Around 9 p.m., Ethan's BMW pulled into the parking lot. He looked around nervously before heading inside. Interesting. So all three of them were meeting together. I crept closer to the building and found Tara's ground floor apartment. The curtains were partially open, giving me a view of the living room. What I saw made my blood boil and my heart race at the same time. Ethan wasn't just comforting Vanessa. He was kissing Tara, passionately, while Vanessa sat on the couch looking shocked and betrayed. I couldn't hear the conversation, but the body language told the story. Vanessa was screaming at both of them. Tara was trying to explain something. Ethan looked like he wanted to bolt. Then Vanessa slapped Tara across the face and stormed out of the apartment. I barely made it back to my truck before she emerged from the building, tears streaming down her face. She got in her car and drove off, probably coming home. But I stayed, watching the apartment. Through the window, I saw Tara and Ethan arguing. Then I saw something that made everything click into place. Tara pulled out a folder and showed Ethan some documents. Even from a distance, I could see they were photos. The same photos I'd seen on Vanessa's burner phone. Tara had copies. Suddenly, it all made sense. Tara wasn't just Vanessa's confidant in this affair. She was orchestrating it. I remembered now, 3 years ago, Tara had worked briefly as a secretary at my auto shop. I'd fired her for constantly showing up late and spending more time on her phone than working. She'd been furious, threatening to make me pay for ruining her reputation. This was her revenge. She'd seduced Ethan and convinced him to pursue Vanessa, knowing it would destroy my marriage. Vanessa was just a pawn in Tara's twisted game. But now, the pawn had discovered the truth, and the game was falling apart. I drove home, my mind racing with possibilities. Vanessa's car was in the driveway. All the lights in the house were on. I found her in the kitchen, drinking wine straight from the bottle. "How long have you known?" she asked without looking up. "Known what?" "Don't play dumb, Jake. I know you've been watching me, the money, the job, the comments at the barbecue. You know about Ethan." I sat down across from her. "I know about a lot of things." "Tara set me up," she said, her voice hollow. "She's been sleeping with Ethan too. She manipulated both of us." "Why would she do that?" Vanessa laughed bitterly. "Because she hates you. This was all about hurting you by destroying our marriage. And you went along with it." "I didn't know. I thought—" She trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. "You thought what? That you were in love?" "I thought I was unhappy with you. Tara kept telling me how I deserved better, how you didn't appreciate me. She introduced me to Ethan at a work party, said he was asking about me. So you decided to have an affair?" "I made a mistake, Jake. A huge, terrible mistake." We sat in silence for a long moment. Then I asked the question that had been eating at me. "Are you pregnant?" She nodded. fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. The test was positive yesterday. Is it mine? I don't know. Those 3 words hit me like a physical blow. After 15 years of marriage, my wife didn't know if she was carrying my child or her lover's. I want a DNA test, I said quietly. Okay. And I want you out of the house tonight. Jake, please. You can go back to Tara's. I'm sure she'll be happy to console you. She won't even answer my calls now. She got what she wanted. Then go to a hotel. I don't care. But I don't want you here. Vanessa packed a bag and left without another word. I sat alone in our kitchen, surrounded by 15 years of memories, and planned my final move. The Riverside Country Club's annual gala was packed with the city's elite. Vanessa tried to act composed, Ethan was pretending nothing happened, and I came to end their charade. I'd already confirmed the DNA test. The baby wasn't mine. I'd also found proof Ethan had been embezzling from his firm and handed it to the FBI. When the host offered me the mic for a tribute to my wife, I took it. 300 faces turned as I began. My wife Vanessa has taught me much about betrayal and lies. Then I dropped the truth. She's pregnant. But the baby isn't mine. It's Ethan Morrison's, her co-worker, right over there. Gasps, panic. Vanessa froze. Ethan bolted. And one more thing, I added. Ethan's been stealing from Pinnacle Real Estate. The FBI knows. I left to chaos and whispers. In the parking lot, Ethan's car wouldn't start. I'd made sure of that. I showed him the photos, the receipts, the proof. These go to your wife tomorrow, I said. He begged for mercy. I smiled. You humiliated me in public. I just returned the favor. And for the first time in months, I felt free.